Hey everybody. This will be the demo for doing bandages um, in Zbrush. We've got a bone here, and I'm going to show a couple different techniques on how to do this. Our reference is this. These kind of like bandages for either like a mummy or something like that. Um, Pretty simple, but I'll just show you some basic steps that you can use to get a look like this. So first off, you have your source model, which I'm just picking this bone here. It could be anything. And basically what we're going to do for the first part, we're going to do masking and extraction. So we're going to hold down the control key, go to the mask tools, and I'm going to use a mask lasso, and we're basically just going to make the shapes of some bandages here. So I'm going to use this one, this kind of look down here. This one will go here, and maybe a thin one here, something like that. And you can see in all of these I'm kind of going in this sideways angle because then we're going to do an opposite angle on the next extraction. So under our subtools, we'll just go to extract. I took the thickness down to 0.02 and turned off double and just hit extract. So there's our first set of bandages. So I'm going to hit accept on this, which will turn it into its own subtool and keep it as is. For the next step, we're just going to turn on transparency. I'm going to go back to our bone here, clear the mask off, and then I'm going to do some masking in the opposite direction. So we'll go this way, and maybe that way, maybe one up here as well. Then I'm going to hit extract. So the same method again, hit accept, clear the mask. So now we've got a couple different subtools here. So for our first set that we did, going this direction, let's turn off transparency and solo. Actually not solo, let's just turn off this other set here. I'm just going to do some basic sculpting on this just to get it to a more bandage-like form. So make a relatively smallish, medium-sized brush. Then I'm just going to start hitting smooth on this, on these edges. You could probably do this with like a deformation pass as well. I'm just going to smooth it just for demonstration's sake. I'm going to do that on all of these, just kind of randomly doing it so you don't get too even of a look. And then next I'm going to use the brush, so hit B on your keyboard, P-I, so pinch, and I'm going to start pinching some of these edges in. I'm just going to repeat this on all of these guys here, all these edges. And you can see what happens when you use the pinch brush. You start to get this kind of start to get this kind of concave, convex type of look that we need, and we'll probably push that a little bit with the move brush as well. So I'm just going to go over these really quick, and you can see that pinch also kind of pulls the bandage away from the bone, so it gives it some space in there as well. Some of these in. And I'm not being too careful with this because a little bit of randomness is a good thing. I'm changing the angle that I do it as well, just to make sure it doesn't all look too even. So that's good for our first pass on those. Let's go back up to these guys, do the same thing. Smooth. pinch brush. Good. So let's turn this other bandage back on here, and now we just need to decide which bandage is going to go above and which bandage is going to go below. So I'm just going to kind of randomly do this. I'm going to use the move tool, move brush. I'm just going to kind of slide these guys in underneath one another. Down a little bit just to create some space. So for this one, we're just kind of doing like an alternate, like up down movement with this. So I'm going to make sure this one tucks underneath this guy, like so. And then this one, this guy to stick out above or on top of this one. Like that. And I'll grab this one and kind of pull it up to overlay over top of this. This one, guess I'll put this guy over top of this guy. And there's lots of methods for doing this. I'm just showing you kind of the simple way of doing it. You can use the topology brush or something like that, but this is a relatively simple model, so when you can, just use the simple tools. That looks pretty good. I think for this one we may kind of just pull this up a bit just to kind of exaggerate how it's being tucked underneath. And maybe pull this down and then grab this guy. And to switch between subtools, I'm just holding down the Alt key and clicking on the subtool. And you can also get in here and kind of go like this and smooth, and you can go crazy as far as like how crinkly or uncrinkly this stuff is. I'll probably switch back to a pinch brush for this guy just to make him a little bit thinner around the edge, something like that. And maybe pull them back up some more. Just pull this up. And there we go, a bone with some bandages. Pretty much the same look we've got going on here. I put more bandages than that's on the reference, but figured I'd let you guys get a look at what it looks like to do a bunch of them. And that's it. So pretty much extract, smooth, pinch, move, and rinse, repeat. So let me know if you have any questions about this, and see you in the next demo.